Welcome back for another episode this week. It's an interesting time right now, and with the coronavirus going on, it's got me thinking about anxieties. And well, I brought this up because this is a great example of an anxiety gone wrong. A couple of topics I want to talk about today. One being, anxious and letting the anxiety control you. And I was out shopping on Friday, and I walked through the Costco where the toilet paper would have been, and there was only a pile of paper towels. And I will admit, I felt the wave of anxiety hit me, the wave of panic hit me at the same time as everybody else was. There's no toilet paper, but there's just paper towels. I grabbed a pack because I'm low. I needed more paper towels, but I wasn't going to sit there and hoard. Unfortunately, I'm hearing stories of people who are going out to buy multiple packs of toilet paper, and people are paying them $20 to give them that pack that they have in their hands, and they're like, oh, well, I don't need it anyway because I already have some. The anxiety level is high right now. And this concerns me because anxieties create panic, and I felt it on Friday, but I was able to suppress that anxiety and keep that under control, knowing that my actions could trigger someone else to do something else that they wouldn't have thought of otherwise. So it's important that we remain calm, everybody, and that's the one thing I just want to suggest. But my biggest concern right now is we're all isolating. We're all being asked to stay home as much as possible, to not interact. This is great. This is what we need to do in order to help maintain and control the spread of the virus. But I want to share something about disconnection. And in disconnecting yourself from society, there can be negative consequences to that, especially for someone who suffers from depression or anxiety. This can be a difficult time, or you as a person who suffers from that may view it as, hey, this is great, I don't have to interact with people. No. This is not a good thing for someone who is suffering from depression. Neuroscience researcher named John Cacioppo, I'm sure I'm butchering his name. I'll spell it here. You can pronounce it however you want. In the book from Johann Hari, Lost Connections, he talks about John's research, and in this, he has a chapter on disconnection. He shared a study where John had put lonely people into brain scanning machines, and he noticed in particular that those who actually were not socially connected very well were able to spot potential threats within 150 milliseconds, whereas those who were socially connected, very well connected, took longer to notice that. So the question is, what was happening? And I'll quote from the book here. Protracted loneliness causes you to shut down socially and to be more suspicious of any social contact. He found you become hypervigilant. You start to be more likely to take offense where none was intended and to be afraid of strangers. You start to be afraid of the very thing you need most. John calls this a snowball effect as disconnection spirals into more disconnection. Lonely people are scanning for threats because they unconsciously know that nobody is looking out for them, so no one will help them if they are hurt. This snowball effect, he learned, can be reversed, but to help a depressed or severely anxious person out of it, they need more love and more reassurance than they would have needed in the first place. So this is the one thing that I want to share with everybody. We're all socially distancing ourselves. We're disconnecting. Don't completely disconnect. Make sure that you are staying in touch with people. You may have family at home. If you're by yourself, it's even more critical to do this. But sure, I have my family. I'm going to be spending a lot of time around my family, and that's great. That'll be a good way to stay socially connected, but I'm a people person. I like my friends as well. I like other people also outside of my family, and I need those connections. So it's going to be very important for me to maintain those connections going forward so that I can stem any possibility of wanting to become a social recluse. I cannot afford to disconnect so much that I lose those social connections, and then I end up becoming, it starts to spiral. It starts to affect, and I can confirm this from my experience, when I start to withdraw and I start to actually disconnect more, I feel as though I become more paranoid. I become more offended by things. I start to read into things more. It's not healthy. It's not good. It's important to stay socially connected to people. So I encourage you. We have all the tools available to us in technology today. You have FaceTime. There's Zoom meetings. There's ways to stay in touch with each other. Text, phone calls. Find ways to stay in touch and reach out to people who may need that connection as well, and help them to lift themselves up in this time where we may be stuck for a while and have a hard time trying to socialize. But in the meantime, make sure you're not just doing that, but make sure you're being reasonable. All right? I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming back for this week's episode. And hey, if you know somebody who could use some of the advice that I'm giving, make sure to let them know and tell them to subscribe. There's a subscribe button right there, okay? Right there. And then, hey, I got some more episodes another one you probably missed. Make sure you can watch that too. Hey, thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I will talk to you next week.